So now, shall we just looking at some of those images, the videos coming from Benue, Plateau, you even hear of other states where bandits are attacking communities, and you wonder for the millionth time maybe what exactly is going on. So let's have that conversation. As you see, we're joined by Brigadier General Jonathan Temlong, retired pioneer commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force and consultant on national security. He joins us live from Plateau, Jos, right there. And in our Abuja studio, former Assistant Inspector General of Police Bala Hassan. He is in our Abuja studio. As I said, good morning. Welcome to the morning brief. Naturally, I'll start with you, Brigadier General Temlong. There's been a lot of narrative around this. I saw you there with your head down, perhaps introspecting yet again, as we've done time and again. And I wonder for you, do you see this getting better with the actions, with the response you have seen from government and other stakeholders, or do you see it getting worse?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I think the problem is getting us properly to understand the problems and how to deal with it. The response by the governments have been quite impressive, but then there are certain fundamentals that have to be done for us to have comprehensive response mechanism in whatever we're doing in terms of this national security quagmire that we found ourselves. You see, the kinetic response have been quite encouraging, but there's a limit to what the kinetic response can be. So there are other, the 70% that comes in with the non-kinetic efforts, that's the soft power components that have to deal with the security situation in this country as a whole. It all boils down to the problem of citizens' participation in national security. Now, what are the civic responsibilities of the citizens? What is citizenship? What is nationalism? What is patriotism? You know, what is loyalty to the country, to the constitution? Is it loyalty to the religion, to the tribe, or to the section of the country you come from? Those are the things that have to be the defining moment of what makes Nigeria, defining what Nigerians are supposed to be and what Nigeria is supposed to be. Right now, we're yet to get our hands on it, because if you hear some of the utterances that come from people who are hitherto respected religious leaders or elder statesmen, they leave much to be expected. And these are, you know, they are the set of role models that the youth look up to say, look, this is how it's supposed to be. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and look at what the role citizenship is all about. What is civic responsibility? What are the roles of citizens in national security? What are the roles of citizens in the government? And what is the social contract between the citizens and the government? And how do we hold the government accountable? A lot depends on the government, because it's a leadership problem too. It's a governance issues that is creating a lot of these problems, because at the federal level, you see responses that comes up quite robust and the rest. Now, when it comes to the states, yes, you call for citizens, stakeholders, meetings and the rest. After that one, what next? What happens at the local government level? And that is where the whole problems are. You hardly see the local government chairman in their domain even taking responsibility and trying to see how do they do a bottom-up approach to security situations in this country. And it should dovetail into what comes into the states to the national level. And at that level, you can start now working with the traditional or the national security architecture, linking in the citizens and then the local arrangement you are doing into the whole national security infrastructure. And that becomes a big superstructure that becomes almost impregnable. It's not rocket science. Others have done it. If you look at the state of Israel today, Israel is diversified, yet in a very complex situation like that, the state of Israel has got its lead on all this situation. that you have kibbutz that are organized in a self-resilient manner that they can be able to stand their own or even be able to pick up certain indicators as quickly as possible and send them. So it's not going to be very easy or simple for the best armed forces in the world to come and, or the security agencies in the world to come and do this thing for you without the cooperation and participation of the citizens and governments at all levels itself, and putting these things into the whole one systematic effort to get the situation done. So I think we need to get our acts together. We need to go back to the drawing board. We need to accept that, look, we have a governance issues at the states and local governments level. We need to incorporate the traditional institution, because even before the modern state came out, communities were living and they had their own security architecture.
Indeed, Brigadier General.
Electronic systems.
Right.
And they have their communication systems. These can be integrated with modern technology that's coming into what it is to make a robust national security infrastructure that will be able to protect our citizens and improve this situation. And I tell you, within the next 5-6 months, you will see great changes.
All right, Brigadier General. There's a potential here, clearly, as you've said. It could get better if the right things are done. We'll also come to the beat of what kind of advice is the president getting, for example, because that issue has been raised time and again in terms of the nomenclature, the characterization of, these attacks. What is the president hearing? Because that will determine how the president will direct security operatives to handle it. So is he hearing that this is a clash? Is he hearing that this is an outright attack or genocide and the rest? We'll come to that. But let me go over to former AIG, Bala Hassan, in our Abuja studio. I don't know if you caught the part where we were speaking to what exactly security is for. How does government see security? Is it for regime protection? Is it to ward off opposition and show might when, for example, there's time for elections or others? Or is it really primarily to protect the people as it ought to be? Because from what we see a lot of times, it doesn't look like that. Yet again, the police has ordered the withdrawal of the mobile force from VIPs. This is the third time in as many years. There was an order last year. There was an order in 2023, even by the president himself. So we keep getting these orders, right? But I want you to speak to what the kind of mentality the security operatives have, particularly the police, when it comes to security. Is the role primarily to protect the people, because the people have been left vulnerable over time?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Primarily and constitutionally, the purpose of government is protection of lives and property. And of course, we know that there is no society without crime. But crime will vary from one society to the other. But what we are facing recently is crime too many. It has happened in Plateau, it has happened in Benue, and in Zamfara and other part of Northwest, recurrent decimal. The purpose of government, as I earlier said, is protection of lives and property. And when this is done, there is no cause for apprehension. The recent directive by the Inspector General of Police for withdrawal of mobile police officers from individuals is a step in the right direction, because what we notice is that some people who are not even entitled for security were given mobile policemen to be going about with them. And for those high in government, you see an individual carrying about 10, 15 mobile police. We are talking about sophisticated electronic surveillance for the whole country. The purpose of those things, if the real component is what we are looking for, any person coming from outside the country, those devices are supposed to monitor them. After monitoring, they should inform the people on the ground so that these acts are prevented. But we cannot afford to have sophisticated equipment when we have incursions of Lakurawa or herdsmen from neighboring countries. So definitely, for these things to stop, all hands should be on deck. There should be more joint task forces between the army, the police, the SSS, including the community, who will get information from maybe the border areas, from Just like in case of pipeline vandalization, we give some incentives to some people, communities, so that they will stakeholders. We expect even our border communities to be given some incentive, like whistleblowers. If they see suspicious people, if you are a husband, you don't need to carry AK-47. You don't need to carry any weapon. You may carry knife, something for personal protection, but any herdsman seen with AK-47, which under the Firearms Act is a prohibited firearm, is a criminal and should be dealt as such. So if we have people to work together with the security, because security forces cannot do it alone. We have to work with vigilante and the community around the borders to prevent these things from happening. So definitely, if these things are on, we can't be having recurrent of problems upon problem, and we have joint task force who, after it happened, they will be there. And what we want to see is that immediately an incident happens, they should have opportunity, they should inform the joint task force immediately, and their response time should be minimal. You can't keep joint task force in Makodi and something is happening maybe 2 hours before. It will not work out. It's either for the government to think of having what we call full operation basis, whereby you have FOBs here and there, so that in case of any attack, the FOB will move in, pending when the real counter force will come and attack those insurgents. That will have solved the problem. But definitely, fighting this type of situation requires collaboration of everybody, the government, the state government, the security forces, the informants around the border or other communities, to be able to inform them so that these things are nipped in the bud. Because people commit crime, people abstain from committing crime with the certainty of arrest, certainty of prosecution, and certainty of punishment. If these three are not there, if you know that after arresting you can find your way out, then you go and commit crime. But if you are sure they will be arrested, sure you will be taken to court, and court will do its job by convicting you, then other people will say that this crime doesn't pay, right, then they keep away from committing crime.
Well, very important point here you've made, but let's go over to Brigadier General as we begin to coast home on this. So 2 points to raise. All hands on deck, yes, but you find a situation where obviously the community people, the vigilantes, are faced with superior firepower, and it looks like the law limits the legitimate ones from protecting themselves lawfully with those at least higher caliber weapons. They can't get AK-47, for example, because the law is against it, while the attackers themselves have the high caliber weapons, even though the law frowns against that. So how do you encourage the people to keep being a part of this whole security architecture when it looks like the odds are stacked against them, Brigadier General, as we wind down? And on the second bit, as a call for possibly convening of a National Security Council meeting, a proper one, to really look at this, not just the ones we see from time to time. So 2 questions as one, Brigadier General.
Well, thank you very much. Now, before I take on that, let me address this question that we always talk about foreigners. And I'll say, in course, we have so many security experts these days. Then it speaks volumes that foreigners can move freely into this country. The closest distance from Plateau or Benue to any border location in this country is over 1,000 kilometers. And so if they can move in those large numbers and come in and operate freely, then there is something wrong. I think we need to reassess these sort of narratives that we keep driving here and there. And for them to even come in and have that much knowledge of our own terrain, more than we here, that they're able to deal with these local people, then it becomes a very serious issue. Now, talk to your first question is that, look, heroism itself is what you do, something that is out of the normal, something that you give your life to do certain things for the common good. When the white people came here with their cannons firing and the rest, the local people here, Chaka the Zulu and the rest, were using bow and arrow. They were using spears. The Tarok people here, the people on the plateau here, were able to face the marauding charging of cavalry coming and withstood their grounds. those were heroes of those days. Are we building a generation of cowards that they say, okay, if somebody has an AK-47, then I'll surrender, then the nation should surrender? Now, what you need is that, look, it takes a lot of processes to fight these things. You need intelligence, which is key. Now, you need early warning, which is key. So if the citizens themselves, the community level, are able to pick up certain indicators as quickly as possible and alert these people, it works. Alert the security. So you build in the intelligence aspects and the early warning systems at the community level into the national security infrastructure so that you have a smooth reporting system that alerts, and then you have a key indicator of saying, look, we need a response mechanism. And so what the military or the armed forces or security agencies will do is that to build in their response mechanism around an effective and a quick reaction force. So that will now mean that they'll have to ask the government to give them the resources that will give them the flexibility, the agility, the firepower and mobility to be able to respond as quickly as possible, because it's not possible for them to have boots on ground at every location. So you need these things. Beyond that, look, if you attack in the night, even with AK-47 and with my bow and arrow and with some courageous people, you mean I cannot hide even in my house and hit somebody with an arrow? That is the lethal. Read the history of this country or ask the history of the Civil War. The thieves, I'm surprised, the thieves themselves went to the war front with bow and arrows and fought the Igbos in their trenches. What is happening today? It means that it needs to be a way of organizing these communities to be resilient and to be self-sustaining, to be able to do some little bit of defending themselves. So we need to do that. And that is a governance issue. And we have so many of the retired military, retired security agencies, and the rest that need to be mobilized by government at all levels to be able to organize our communities into self-resilient entities, like what is happening in the kibbutz in US, UK, and this thing. The second one, you're talking about a National Security Council. Look, the Constitution has put up the National Security Council. These seminars or these talk shops is not what you need. What those council is doing, they are up to date, and I have complete trust in the Security Council, the top of service chiefs, the CDS and the service chiefs that are there. They are up and doing. What you need is for them to be given the wherewithal to be able to carry out and build, and let the states and government and local governments build their own part of the aspect, and you will see a robust response that will be able to put these things behind us.
Well, Brigadier General,
we
have to anchor at this point.
Are too many now. We need action.
Action, indeed. And yes, it might be a tough pill to swallow, but it is the right pill. We need actions. And you just wonder sometimes, is someone taking us for fools, someone somewhere just, taking us for a ride, ensuring these things happen to keep us in just that same cycle, or we're the ones taking ourselves for a ride? Well, we'll find out apparently in the coming days. But we have to thank you so much, Brigadier General John Temlong, retired Pioneer Commander of the Multinational Joint Task Force and consultant on national security. Thank you for your time. As well as former AIG, it's Assistant Inspector General of Police, Bala Hassan. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on this important topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Well, there you have it. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, these things have implications on other spheres of life, and we'll take a look at one very important one in a moment. Stay with us.